All right, I think we're ready to get started. Let's go ahead and get Gus on board. So we're going to do something a little different today than what we've done in the past. And I was trying to use this big mic and it's not working. So I'm going to give you this headset and until it's my turn to talk.
I have a loud voice.
I know you have a loud voice, but it's got to shift, like it's got to project into this
like
little
this.
mic. You can, this would be it, the original dynamic way to do that. But yeah, I was trying to use this mic for both of us and it's not going to work. So I'm going to give him this little headset until it's time for me to come in and jump in and share some content. So anyway, here you go, sir.
It'll mess up my hair.
It'll mess up your hair. Gus is funny that way. All right, so it's 8:01. Let's get started.
Oh, we're not doing like the Hispanic time.
No, not Hispanic time. Not Hispanic time. We
Gotta get started right on the time.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we're here tonight to do this amazing webinar. Let me put my glasses on because I can't see. Yes, I know. You guys are wondering who this handsome guy is. My name's Gus Solis, and my wife Shirley and I. Well, Shirley's been working really hard at putting this webinar together. It's going to be an amazing time. I'm going to be sitting right over there on another computer, and I'm going to be listening in myself. Let me tell you a little bit about Shirley Solis. Shirley Solis is an author. And after, she chose like her first book to write. I don't know why. She's like an expert in all these different topics, but her first book was a cookbook, not just tacos. And I think, do they know? Do we tell them?
What?
About the end?
Oh, well, no, I'm going to tell them that that's a surprise.
Oh, that's a surprise. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't tell you the surprise. Sorry, I didn't know that was a surprise. But
it's coming.
There's a surprise later on that's coming. All right. So Shirley Solis, she's a speaker, amazing speaker. She keeps you like on the edge of your seat when she speaks. She's an amazing coach. She does a lot of coaching to people. She's transformed a lot of lives, through just one-on-one coaching. If you ever do and have the privilege of being coached by her one-on-one, your life, I guarantee you, will be transformed. Also, she wrote this amazing program. Well, I should say we wrote it, but she did most of the work, but I had a lot of input in it. Like she always asked me, what about this? What about, no, I don't like that. Yes, I like that. No. And we, so it kind of like she did most of the work, but we both had input in it. And on the building character with children. And let me see, why did we start doing this? We started doing this because we realized that kids don't come with a manual. And a lot of people, they look at us and, we have 6 children. And in the homeschool community, 6 children is probably on the low side. But we do have 6 children, and they range from the ages of 5 to 20, and somewhere in between there. And see, I'm already starting to sweat because I get nervous. Right? She's like the one that likes speaking. I'll do all this stuff, but oh, thanks.
I did really do it because then you get my sweater dirty.
Gross. Okay. So I just want you to know that you're going to be in for a special night tonight on this webinar. And if you hang on to the end, then you're going to get a good surprise. All right. Several surprises. Wow. I didn't know about the several surprises. But with here, my lovely wife, I'm going to leave you with her, Shirley Solis, author, coach, life transformation. Your life will be transformed. So enjoy the webinar, and here we go.
All right, let's keep going. Thank you, sweetie. All right, so we're going rookie style here with the with the fact that we had to share headphones because we can't put two headphones. That would have been really confusing, and this one just wasn't working. But um, I'm super excited to be here with you guys. I'm super excited we both are actually very excited. This is the first webinar that we've worked in the way that we've worked for this, like what you're going to see. The content that you're going to see today is completely fresh, completely new. Um, just even having Gus here on board, having our kids here with us, supporting us in the way that they're supporting us today is just very unique. We also have a team who you're not seeing. They're kind of in the background. Rebecca is going to be managing the chat box. So say hi, Rebecca. Let everybody know that you're there. Gus is going to be in the chat room as well, and he's going to be putting in. So, usually I like you to stay pretty focused on the chat room, pretty focused on the content. But if you feel like you want to go in and out into the chat room, then definitely, because this is all about building community. All right. And we have a lot of content that we're gonna get into. So let's dig right in, because I want to make sure we take advantage of every single minute. So, all right, got it. So you guys are seeing what I'm seeing right now. And let me go ahead and switch to presentation mode. So here we are connected, and as I'm sure that you're seeing this picture of our family, you may think that we're perfect, but the truth is that we're not. We're going to be very real, and I'm going to tell you that we've worked really hard for what we have. And in the special training today, I'm going to show you exactly what that work that we've done looks like, so that you too can enjoy the delights of a happy and united family. So I want you to get ready, because by grabbing the edge of your seat, you're really going to experience a transformation by learning what these 4 pillars can do for your family. And today is not going to be about how your family can be perfect. No, because that's not. I mean, clearly we're not a perfect family. Gus and I and the kids, we're not perfect. But today is going to be about how your family can be real, and how it could withstand anything that comes your way without breaking it apart. And you're going to see how that's happened in our family. So what's my promise to you tonight? What my promise is that you will learn exactly which 4 foundational pillars to implement in your family, so that you can raise children who listen to you, who are responsible, who are respectful, and have the greatest chance of a successful future ahead of them. And all of this without yelling, without nagging, without frustration from your part. These powerful pillars have transformed 149 families this year and counting. So this is a really big promise that I have for you, because if you literally learn these principles, if you apply these foundational pillars and you put action into them, you're going to be transformed. So to get started, I think you'd agree that an awesome online training can only be better with a free gift for everyone. So today, everyone gets access to my free training, okay? This free training is called the most powerful parenting tool, but the least used. It's a 1-hour online training with a free PDF and free slides, and it's absolutely life-changing. All you have to do is stay till the end for that special link. I'm going to provide that special link towards the end of this presentation, and you get access to that special presentation, life-changing presentation on the most powerful parenting tool that we have, but it's the least used. So you make sure that you stay until the end for that special link. And to make this ultra fun, I'm going to have an engagement contest, because who doesn't love contests, right? I know that I do. And what the contest is going to be is you get to have a copy, you get to win a copy of my cookbook, Not Just Tacos. So all you have to do is stay until the end, make sure that you focus on the content, and be the first to answer the 2 questions that I'm going to ask. So you can answer, you can answer the first question, and then you can answer the second question. If you're the first to answer each one of those questions, I will be giving away 2 free books. And as you know, this book is available on e-cover, and it's also available on hardcover, but you're going to win the hardcover copy by making sure that you stay until the end and making sure that you pay attention throughout the presentation, so that you win a copy of this free book, okay? So make sure you stay cool for that. All right, so I also created a special family evaluation, and with it, you can self-evaluate where you are to measure the strength of your family. You're going to want to know where you stand and how you're doing in favor of the 4 pillars. So make sure that you stay around for that, because I want to make sure that you can evaluate at the end, okay, where am I? How good am I doing in each one of these 4 pillars, okay? For that reason, I want to make sure that you eliminate all distractions, like your phone, the kids, the TV, the email, the text. Okay, the kids, all right, you don't have to eliminate them, but just let them know and put some boundaries and let them know that you're going to be paying, investing some time in yourself and that you need this time to make sure that there's no interruptions as best as possible. So make sure that you take notes and that you stay with me. And if you have your parenting sticky notes, and these were the sticky notes that you got as soon as you registered for this training. So you received an email that said something along the lines of, do you like to fill in the blank? Do you like to fill in the blank? And those inside of there was a link so that you can get access to those parenting sticky notes. Sticky notes basically just means, something that helps us remember, like helps the information stick to you. If you don't have that, that's cool. You don't need it. It just helps to get your content to stick in your mind. But if you're a great note taker, then you're fine. If you want to, you still have a little bit of time. Go over there, make sure that you look for that in your email inbox, and might have gone to your spam or who knows what, but that's where you get your parenting sticky notes, okay? So over the next hour and a half, we're going to be discussing just how your dream family can become a reality. The truth is that family is the most important thing we have in the world, and it takes planning. Wouldn't you agree? We're not going to talk about how to have good kids, but I want to talk today about how you and your family can have powerful and amazing kids. Because, everybody talks about, like, yeah, we want to have good kids. Like, these kids are good. But that's just not good enough anymore. I mean, whenever there's a tragedy or something that happens, even with quote unquote someone that just wasn't living a good life, we'll say, they were a good person inside. But, clearly there's some things that needed to happen in that person to bring out the powerful and amazing that they were. And that's what we're going to tap into here. Again, it's not about building that perfect family or raising the perfect kids or pretending to be something that you're not. It's about learning to be very real as a family and learning to be so powerful, each one as individuals, wherever you're at, no matter what the age that you're in, so that then you can come together as a family. And that's what I'm going to show you how to achieve in these few hours. So if you're here today, you're like the majority of families that I've coached. You found out one day that you were expecting. You knew that this was no accident because you knew exactly how it happened, right? And now the excitement filled the air. You now started holding your belly, although you only had a bump, right? So who did that? Share in the chat box if you did that. Just say yes, because I know that I did, okay? I was holding my belly even though I was only a couple weeks pregnant, but it's sort of like this hidden thing that, this underlying thing that we do as moms when we find out that we're pregnant. And maybe you had some nausea. I know I did. I had some horrible nausea. Like I had this car with my firstborn. And I was like one of those puppies that gets inside a car and they stick their head out for, while the whole car is driving. That was me because I would get so sick and nauseous that I couldn't stand the smell of my car for the first 5 or 10 minutes that I got into it. So I had to drive with my head sticking out. I don't know if you guys identify with that. And I became really sensitive to smells and to certain words and things that would trigger stuff in me. But I know that even in that time, I'd walk into the mall and I'd pause at the baby store for what seemed like an eternity. And I would pick up one little t-shirt and then another little t-shirt and then the cute little socks, and I'd imagine the baby growing inside of me, and I could already see myself holding this little beauty. And I'd even smile every time that someone would ask me, "Are you pregnant?" And I know that if you're like me, you'd smile and say yes, with a lot of pride, sort of like you're already really, really excited that you're going to be a mom or you're going to be a dad. Plus, you read all the popular baby books from what to expect when you're expecting. With if you're fair, you're going to say there's no way that in one book, even if it's, I don't know, 500 pages because it's huge, you could get all the information that you know to expect for what it means to have this baby. Because it's not all there. Like, there's some good things to expect, and there's things you never imagined we were going to expect. And if you're like me, you picked up the popular book with the baby names, right? And I don't know, but there were thousands of names inside of it. And And I was sitting down through it, looking at those names. I wonder, like, who chose these names? Because some of those names were the weirdest names. They were not like John or Mary or Sarah or Susie and, or Shirley, but they were weird names that I'm not like, who thought of these names? And, you just wonder, like, who would call their babies that? So I don't know if you're identifying and you understand. And like when you see these beautiful images, there's just so much kindness and so much love and so much hope and affirmation about the beauty that it is going to be in regards to parenting, right? And if you're like me, that big day arrived and you announced to everyone that the baby was on the way, right? And labor was happening. And labor was that first rude awakening to having a child. Like, yep, nobody told you that it was going to be like this. So you said to yourself, oh my gosh, is this what it's like? But you soon figured it out would be worth it after that. Because I know that as I held my baby in my arms, I forgot everything. I forgot about the pain. I forgot about the discomfort. I forgot about the fact that every time I'd laugh or jump, I would pee on myself. Yep, I was only 19 years old, but I would pee on my pants because that's what babies do. So give me a big yes if you're still with me because I know that you may be relating to me right now. All right. So here we go. We have that beautiful baby in our arms, and the baby's born, and you're holding that baby, and it's all worth it indeed. And then you realize that you've never have experienced such joy and peace and delight. Never. And I want you to pause here for a moment so you can remember what that felt like. Your baby became the most precious being in your life, and you would do anything for this little guy or gal. You would give up your life to make sure that your baby had what it needed and was safe. Always. I know that I did. And you wanted to make sure that your baby had everything he or she needed, and you were even willing to work harder and longer to raise money so your baby would not lack anything. Like you were willing to do anything. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I know I'm not. Because I know the love that you have for your child. You'd be willing to go to great lengths to be able to give them the best of what they need. And and I wish the story continued to all be bliss from there, like beautiful story, right? And in some ways it has been. But the reality is that baby started growing up. And next thing you knew, the fight was on. It was almost like this baby said, "Bring it on, mom and dad." And you'd call their name Jimmy or Susie or Sandy or whatever their name is. And, half the time they'd answer, and the other half the time they take their sweet time to get there. And then they tell you they didn't hear you, right? Or perhaps they would get moody one moment, like one moment they're happy, another moment they're sad, and you'd have no clue what they want. And then they started throwing tantrums, and you had no idea where that little voice came from. Like you had no idea how to pacify them and how to discipline them and what boundaries to set because they were just getting like a whole world of their own, right? Does that sound familiar? Tell me if it does, okay? So as the fight was on, even before you got up in the morning, it was almost like they had this underlying rule that says, at dawn we ride. Yeah, like somehow they didn't sleep all night, and neither did you, but they had full on energy to make sure that they were giving you a fight the entire day. And then, if you had another baby, they started fighting with their siblings. They'd call each other names, push and pull and crush, and it's almost feeling like annihilation, right? And if you have teenagers, just gotten worse. So you try things like words like stop fighting and be nice and you should be nice to your sister. Pulling hair is not nice. All of that. Just try to make it work. And after repeating yourself, I don't know, like 53 times a day, you read the book on sibling rivalry and apply what they said and still it wouldn't work. You'd get the same old, same old. I don't know if you can relate. I know that I can. Because this little picture is super funny about one sibling crushing the other. And it looks funny, but it's not so funny when it happens, right? And here we go. We're going to get really real. And to top it all off, because I'm all about getting real, they become ungrateful. As they get older, they realize that their friends have this, their other friends have that they have, an iPad, that they have this car, or that they take vacations and that maybe you don't. Or they get this and somehow this feeling of ungratefulness. And I'm sorry that this particular image is so real because this is literally what it feels like. It feels like we give them the best that we can. And somehow the world and life and the reality of what they're living just comes out in the worst way, and they're like, what is this? You know? What is this? Like this is the best you can do. And that's because we're living in that world that has that sense of entitlement. So again, I don't mean to offend anybody by putting this up on there. I'm just trying to get very real with the reality of raising children. And the whole time you're like, who are these kids and why do they call me mom? Right? Especially those times when you're at the grocery store visiting family and they start embarrassing you. And you know what I'm talking about, right? So click yes if you're with me and this sounds familiar. Click yes on the chat box. Just write it in, type in your little fingers, YES. And hey, I want to tell you not to be embarrassed at all. Okay? Because let's just get real for a moment and stay there. This is going to be a very real training. It's not going to be fake. I'm not going to try to pretend. I'm going to be real with you. If that's cool, let me know. Because here's the very real part, and it's that this is not your fault. And that may come as a shocker to you. Because although, yes, you are responsible for raising your children, this is not your fault. And I'm going to tell you why it's not your fault. And maybe that's a little bit relieving. And if you have to write it down, up to this point, you just haven't known. Because let's put it this way, we didn't learn to be good parents anywhere. Teachers didn't address this in school. I mean, schools would rather teach where the birds and the bees are and where babies come from, but they don't take responsibility for teaching us the next part. Like, what do you do when those babies, when they arrive, right? I mean, they could be teaching abstinence, but rather they're teaching with condoms and how to put them on with a banana. And they're leaving the rest up to us. So tell me that's not crazy. That's really crazy. And then you go to college, and college doesn't teach you any of this. They're more interested in us doing business or making business transactions or how to engineer something or how to cure a physical cure, but they're not teaching us how to do the business of family and engineering the right type of life. And you know what? To top it all off, our parents surely didn't teach us because many of them just didn't know how to teach us to be good parents. They they did struggle with their own baggage and their own mess, and they had no clue either. And now, when we're already having the kids at home, we're busy with work. Like, you're already married, you have to take care of school and chores and laundry and managing your finances and extracurricular activities, and there's just no way to figure it all out alone. So it's no wonder that our kids are burning the poor ants with a magnifying glass. Yep. And as real as this may be, I know we chuckle through some of these things, we laugh, but I try to lighten them up a bit, just so we could have a little bit of a good time while we're getting real. But the truth is that if these things are left alone, they could fester some damaging outcomes to your children and your family. And we don't want to ignore the path that we're on. We don't want to ignore the reality of what our children's behavior will look like in 5 years or in 10 years. How that little tantrum at 2 will look like when she's 15 and wants to go out with a bad boy from the neighborhood. Or what the lack of listening and obeying will look like when your son is, I don't know, 17 and you're telling him not to hang out with the wrong crowd. And how not to pick up his clothes or shoes will look like when he's 23 and still living at home, irresponsible and without a sense of purpose. Or worse, he left home early because he just didn't want to deal with you and the fact that you guys were emotionally disconnected. But you're not alone in this problem. This is really an epidemic, okay? 33% of parents with children under age 18 said that they're not spending enough time with their children. 33%. 45.5% of teens say they normally have low self-esteem. That's the norm today. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 24. Ages 10. How is this happening? Half of all American children will witness the breakup of a parent's marriage. Half. And of those, close to half will also experience the breakup of a parent's second marriage. So the truth is families are experiencing crisis, right? There are more books, more information, more blogs, more everything, yet we're failing miserably in raising children. And we feel lost, confused, and utterly helpless because nobody taught us how to handle this. So you can see it's not your fault. Nobody taught us. So as we're here, I want to ask you a very important question. If you have your parents' sticky notes, make sure you write it on there, or you can use the chat box. But I want to know what you think. What is your biggest frustration in parenting? What is it? I don't know. Maybe it's your children don't listen. Maybe they're fighting. Maybe they're disrespectful. Maybe they don't own up to doing their chores. And I can see what you guys are writing on there. I could totally understand. And those are the most common frustrations that pop up in parenting all the time. And I wonder if you know a family who you would have never expected that completely lost their kids due to issues like bad behavior and disrespect. Like they were good kids, they did well in school, they were, valedictorian or whatever, and yet they just drifted apart. They stopped talking, they became angry. Maybe there was some teen rebellion, bad friendships, like good girls that then snuck out with a boyfriend and became pregnant before the time. Or, you know, kids who you would have never known but were started cutting themselves or sending nude pictures of themselves over the internet. Depression, emotional issues. I'm sure you know families like that around you, families you would have never expected. And the reality is that this could be any of us if we don't have the right foundation. Because truthfully, we haven't had a healthy and true blueprint to help us navigate the rough waters of parenting so that we would know how to get from point A to point B. If we don't have a blueprint, we could might as well end in the waterfall. We could end up in the volcano. We could end up in the ditch, and just die, like literally. So we need a blueprint. And the blueprint that we've had is the blueprint our parents gave us, the blueprint that society gave us. But we have to understand we can't continue to follow that. And in your best attempt, you've done one of two things. And pay attention to this because this is important. Pay attention to this, okay? You've done one of two things. The first thing you've done is you've either done exactly what your parents did, mostly out of habit, without recognizing that times have changed and back then communities were closer. People helped each other a little bit more than what they help today. There's less divorce and media wasn't running rampant. Discipline and character was more prevalent in society, and children adapted to that type of culture, so they still respected their parents and elders. Young adults had safer ways of enjoying themselves back then, and children could safely play with their neighborhood friends, etc. So times were different, right? So you've done that. You've either done the same thing your parents have done, but the truth is we're living in different times, so those techniques don't work. Not all the techniques anyway. Or the second thing that you've done is that you're the other type of parent who really didn't like the way your parents raised you. So you've done completely the opposite because you feel, well, that didn't work, or I didn't like the way that went. But that doesn't work either because your motivation may be out of the wrong experience. So no matter what approach you're using, it doesn't work because much of our human behavior is inherited, and parents, our parents' approach was very hands off. So it was very ignorant to child development and growth, and it was more relaxed in ways and like just trusting that kids would turn out okay. But that doesn't work today anymore. It doesn't work for our kids. We just can't keep parenting the way our parents parented. And we can't do the opposite either because it's out of the wrong motivation. So just that won't work. Today clearly we have the internet and the media that have caused an uproar with the MTV generation. And it's just crazy. But I've got great news. And the great news is that we must have a plan and a strategy, a blueprint to navigate parenting, and it has to work. So today, I'm going to show you the foolproof, no-fail blueprint to having a functional home. And what is a functional home? Because you must understand that a functional and powerful home is different. It's like what most people have not experienced. In a functional home, it's the opposite of a dysfunctional home. In a functional home, you have a proper balance of spirituality, physical, intellectual, and emotional health. Okay? There's not too much of one, not too much of the other, or absence of one or the other. But the cool thing is this, that each pillar that I'm going to teach you is going to fulfill one key area in your family so that you have the right foundation. Because remember, in a functional home, you have spirit, physical body, intellectual, and emotional health. So each one of the pillars is going to fill in one key component. And because I want to give you the best content possible, I also recognize that you may want more or may need more help. So would you mind if towards the end, I take 10 brief minutes to give you an opportunity to take advantage of a special offer that I have for you? Why? Because you may want more help. You may want to master these. So I'll only do that after I've shared powerful stuff with you. And if that's fair, please let me know. Let me know in the chat box if that's fair and you're okay with that. All right, so let me take a sip of water. Okay, great. Thank you so much for that, guys. Again, I promise it's only after delivered powerful stuff for you. So why am I giving this webinar? Well, I'm giving this webinar because it's easy to raise great kids with a good childhood. It's easy to raise great kids with lots of money and plenty of time and the right mentors. But my story is neither of these. The truth is I've worked really hard and I've had a rough upbringing. And having the family that Gus and I have today has taken us so much work that in our heart we knew we wanted to share what we've learned. I wanted you to know the good, the bad, and the ugly of raising children. I wanted you to know what works. Why would someone that has a blueprint after all of these years that Gus and I have worked on our family and ourselves, we've developed this blueprint. And why would we not want to give it to you? It feels like that's not the right thing. We wouldn't keep it to ourselves. So I didn't want to do that. I know that I could help you avoid the learning curve and save you tears and headaches and sleepless nights for some of the things that may keeping you up at night. If you're crying yourself to sleep sometimes or every day even, then you don't have to be going through that. I want you to understand that you have hope, and I hope that you can see that I have this responsibility to make my struggles your lessons for making your family strong. And truly, I care from the bottom of my heart. There's nothing that I'm more passionate about. There's nothing that really fuels me and excites me than seeing a family genuinely healed and transformed. And I hope that you can feel that. So, my goal for you is that because of what you'll learn with me today, you'll have tons of aha moments. And these aha moments, as you're writing them down and just being really open, tomorrow you'll implement one new thing as a result. And then in a few days, your children actually can start listening to you when you call them. What if in a few weeks your house is running flawless and you're on a peaceful and flowing schedule like some of the women that I've worked with? And then you can actually take time for yourself or your kids, each do their part around the house and they're becoming more responsible. Because I've seen this happen. And then you fast forward a few months and your children are so much better behaved that you can leave them with a babysitter, or even, if you have older teens, you can leave them all together, knowing that they won't need anybody to referee fights or anything. And you can go out to dinner with your spouse without any worry and get back a little bit of that romance that's been so lost because you've been focused on the kids so much. And then, if we were on a time machine, we fast forward a few years and your children are older and you're together for a family gathering, maybe at a park like this one, and one of them says, Mom, Dad, I have great news. I get the job I wanted. And you know why, Mom and Dad? Because the person doing the interview said that he could tell I have the character for the job. Yeah, there were lots of qualified applicants, but I stood out. And you know what? I know that I owe it to you. I owe it to you because of how you raised me. And then your eyes water, and then you guys hug, and suddenly the rest of your children smile and agree. And they all thank you because you took the time to teach them character. You went beyond just being a good dad or a good mom. And then a few years later, their marriage is a success, and you've modeled responsibility and healthy relationships, and you resolve conflicts happily, and you get to see your grandchildren. You have the beauty of those white hairs and the wisdom behind you. And not just being able to invest in your children and in your grandchildren now, but in your entire community. And now you sigh because you realize you're leaving a legacy in this world. And tell me if that's not the life you want. If this isn't what we're here to do. To leave a legacy for this world. To say that our lives mattered, and they mattered in what's most important, in our family. So what I want to share with you today has the power to give you certainty for the future of your family, to accomplish just that, to give you the tools to raise your children to have strong character. What I want to share with you today has the power to equip you and your children to live with purpose, passion, and contribution. What I am going to share with you today has the power to give you the emotional stability and the tools to connect heart to heart with your children. And the truth is that it's taken us 20 years to learn this. So if you're ready, let me know that you're ready, because I'm ready to share this stuff with you. I'm ready to share the 4-pillar blueprint to raising powerful and amazing children. All right, great, awesome. Okay, I'm ready if you're ready. So let me take this all the way back to when it all started for me, okay? And the reason why I'm going to share this is because I want to be the most vulnerable and honest and transparent with you that I can. I don't want to leave one page unturned. I don't want to leave one experience in my life unturned, because I want every single bit to make sense for you so that you can understand what these 4 pillars did for me. So I was raised by my single mom who always had 2 jobs. We migrated to the United States when we were 9 and my little brother was 7. But very early on, my dad was absent from my life, unfortunately. By the time I was 2, they were already divorced. My mom taught me really good manners. She taught me diligence, and she gave me quality time. But honestly, she just didn't have a good upbringing either. Her parents had left her at the age of 4 in a boarding house, and she just didn't see them after that. The picture that you see here was my mom when she was 23. And as you can see in her tired, disconnected face, she was already raising 2 children without the support of her parents or my dad. Not the emotional, not the financial support, nothing. And this picture speaks millions of what my life was like at that moment. I never saw a healthy role model of a family. I experienced abuse of all kinds, and I grew up with an immense void in my heart that I tried to fill with school, with boys, with drinking. And I even tried to take my own life at the age of 15 by drinking an entire bottle of Tylenol. You know what? Now I know Tylenol doesn't kill you, but I didn't know that then. And my desire and my pain to just end my life because I was so hurt from everything that I had experienced up to that point just took me to trying to attempt to take my life. And it was with that I met Gus. I met Gus. I was just 18 years old. He was 29. We married 3 months later. And by 19, we had our first child with no experience at all. Like, I had no experience, never even held a baby in my arms prior to that. Again, no experience of knowing, any family that was solid, healthy, and functional at all. Nowhere. In 4 short years, we had 3 small boys, and I was a mess. I had piles of laundry. I'd wake up late. I was disorganized. I was out of schedule, yelling, exhausted, and practically angry all of the time. There was very little time for me, and there was very little time for our marriage. I could often feel the sense of guiltiness come over me because my mom, in trying to help me, she kept paying for someone to clean my house. And I know that it may seem like something I should have been thankful for, and I was, but I felt guilty because the underlying message that I received was, you can't do this right. Your life is such a mess that you can't even raise yourself, take care of yourself, and you're so young and you already have these 3 kids. Like, that's not the message she wanted to send, but that's how I perceived it because I felt so inadequate. So if you felt like that, just let me know. Okay? And the truth is, all of my bad habits caught up with me, and now it was all beginning to show up. And I still remember the moment that I realized I needed help in parenting. This was a day where I was pregnant and I had a little toddler, and I pulled my son so hard that I saw my potential for child abuse. I realized that deep inside I was becoming my mom. I had an ongoing feeling of despair and hopelessness that I just would never get this parenting thing right. It was too overwhelming, and I just thought I would ruin my children's life. I know this is a vulnerable moment, but I want to ask you, I want you to ask yourself if you've had a moment where you've realized you need help in parenting. Maybe you're in that moment now. And if you're bold and you want to be vulnerable with me and honest and transparent, write inside that chat box if you've had a moment like that. So it was at this point, recognizing that I needed help in parenting, that I had my first turning point. And that's when I learned pillar number 1. And pillar number 1 of 4-pillar blueprint to raising powerful children is vision. Parents think that they can raise children without an overall vision. I told you, when you registered for this training, I told you that there were 3 destructive beliefs, okay? That was in the thank you page as you registered and you got a confirmation. I shared 3 destructive beliefs, and I told you that I was going to be sharing 4 more with you. Well, the next destructive belief is that you can raise children without an overall vision. Parents plan for vacations, for retirement, for their careers, but seldom do parents plan on how to raise children. Like the saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. I want you to ask yourself if you've known where you're going in your parenting. Some parents are like the ones that you see in this picture, that they go down a path with their kids, and next thing you know, they're deep in a forest, far from help, and with a dangerous river full of rocks ahead of them and putting their children in danger. At first it looks fun, it looks like exploration. We'll figure it out as we go. But that's not that fun when you're putting your kids in danger. When you could have gone down a nice trail that was already, had a path, but you're choosing to go the other way. So when you adapt the pillar of vision, vision fulfills the spiritual component in your home. Basically, you're tapping into the eternal and grasping what your family should look like. This is not done out of a void or of a needy heart, but rather out of an inspiration heart that creates and co-labors with God to see each member of your family achieve their true potential. So let's go back a little bit here, right? You see the four pillars. You have a roof on that, and then you have a foundation at the bottom. So your connection with God, your faith is that bottom orange bar. That's your faith, and that is the foundation of how we build these pillars. And I'm assuming that you have that. I'm assuming that you are looking to connect with God for the path that your family should be on. So this is about catching that vision, and it fulfills the spiritual component to connecting, to having this vision with your family. Because it's not about what you want. This isn't about, well, this is the kind of family I want. This is about connecting to the heart of God and knowing what the best version of each one of your members of your family look like. What is the best version of you every single day as you interact with your children? What is the best version of your children, your 3-year-old, your 5-year-old, your 10-year-old? Because that's what I want to see fulfilled. I want to see them fulfill their ultimate potential each day. And even that includes making mistakes, but that's okay. What is their ultimate potential? So that's what vision does. Having a vision means you establish a strong family culture that defines the values that you want your family to live by. Values like honor and kindness and truthfulness and trustworthiness and obedience, just to name a few. Like, whatever values are important to you. It's important to write your vision down and engage your family in creating it. So write it down. I've always asked myself if companies always start with a vision. They know where they're going. Why not family? I wonder, why not family? Family is the most important thing we have. As the most powerful institution in this world, bypasses government, it bypasses business. Family is the foundation for everything, right? A family that stands together is more powerful than anything. So I want to ask you, what would happen if your family had a vision? If you give yourself permission, if I give you the permission to dream and connect to the heart of God and experience the vision for your family, where would it be? So what I did to implement this vision is I identified what I wanted to see in my family. I started dreaming, and I said, okay, what do I want to see in my family? How do I want to raise these children? What is the outcomes that I want to have? And I embraced my role as a mom as the most important role that was given to me. I became a proactive mom. And proactive parents, they seek help. They look for answers. They don't settle for less than great for their children. I purpose to succeed in parenting and to be the best mom that I could be. That's the first thing you have to do, You have to say, okay, you know what? I'm willing to dream. And in order to do that, I'm going to embrace my role. And then I'm going to become proactive. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be the best mom or dad that I could be. Okay. And you know what happened when I did that? It gave me certainty because I knew that I was going to be okay. We all need certainty. That's a human need. We need to know that our children are going to be fine. And when you have a vision, it's almost like this peace that just comes over you. You have this vision that just satisfies your heart to know it's going to be okay. And after you embrace your role, you no longer wait for life to happen to your family. You know exactly where you're heading, kind of like an airplane. Stephen Covey says that in an airplane, they know where they're going from point A to point B. It knows its trajectory, but it's usually off path. You couldn't believe it. It says that only 2% of the time they're on path. But because it knows where it's going, it gets back on track in spite of the winds or the rain, and it gets there. And that's what you want as a family. No matter what happens, no matter what comes at you, that you're going to be going back to the vision. What else it did? It helped me to slow down and enjoy the process of raising children because I could trust the process without feeling anxious. Now I want to ask you, can you imagine being certain that what you picture your family to be in 20 years will actually come true? If you've never even thought that far in advance about your family and you've been the kind of parent who says, who knows what could happen? Then I encourage you to know that you can live with certainty. And yes, who knows what could happen? But I would rather have a plan and have a vision than have nothing so I get nowhere. Would you agree? Yeah. If you agree, go ahead and share. Share in the chat box if you agree. And so here's what kind of happened. It established the first pillar for me to hold up that house. And while having a vision allowed me to set goals and take my role seriously, something else started to happen. What started to happen is the kids got a little bit older, right? Because they get older. And I had to learn to manage their schoolwork, their bad attitudes that would come up at times. In my bad attitudes, there were more activities like extracurricular activities, co-ops, things, karate, demands on my time, people asking me to volunteer here, volunteer there, etc. And the kids were older, and I had several of them in 3 short years. So There was more fighting and more conflict between them. There were more things to pick up, and my true colors were showing more and more. So that was not good. Because it's one thing to manage yourself, but it's another entirely to raise little children and manage all that has to happen in the house. Wouldn't you agree? So who can identify with that? Because it's tough to have to manage everything. So I was having to constantly remind the kids to do this, to do that, and I needed more. Okay, so I had this vision. I knew the overall dream, where we were going, but I needed the practical applications of how to fulfill that. I needed the practical applications of how to fulfill that. I needed something more. And I needed something more, even that behavior charts that I would never fill out. I needed a way to teach them to obey and be responsible from the inside out. So how come many people could see that? Like where you're not nagging all the time. You're not like, pick up this, pick up this, pick up this, and you say it 5 times to 4 children. That's 20 times a day if you're lucky. And that's probably before breakfast. And then, that happens again for lunch and again for dinner and before bedtime, right? So I needed something a little bit more. I needed my second pillar. And that's when I had my second turning point where I learned pillar number 2, the pillar of character. So parents think that children will learn proper behavior and how to do good on their own. That's another belief, destructive belief. Like, oh, they'll learn, they'll get it eventually. Like they'll get adjusted. The teachers will teach them, what did you learn in school, and don't they teach you good manners? Like they'll learn on their own, just like our parents. Back then it was kind of a given. All kids said thank you and please. Today, you're lucky if you get a thank you and please at McDonald's, and it's their job and they're getting paid. True or not true? They don't even look at you in the eyes. Why? Because the culture is completely different. So today, you have to shift that. There has to be that inner work that's happening with the children. Parents often say to kids, like, oh, you should know better. But children don't. They need to be taught. They don't know better. They need to be taught and they need to be trained on proper conduct. Children assimilate the world around them and they copy whatever they see. Plus, you add their ego, their selfishness, their pride, and all that gets mixed in to create what you see today. In other words, their outer behavior is a result of their inner behavior. And most parents today are in what I call reactive states, and they react to the bad behavior rather than focusing on teaching the right behavior. So it will counteract the bad behavior. I know that sounded like a riddle, but basically move in with the good, let the bad move out. All right? And conduct is the best proof of character or lack of character. So the way your children are behaving basically is a direct relationship to the character education in your home or lack of character education. Wouldn't you agree? All right. So what is character? Character in simple terms is who you and your children are when no one is watching. This fulfills the physical component. In other words, it addresses the habits, the patterns of behavior, the everyday practical things. There was a study by the Character Education Partnership that showed that character development helps children become more mature, more conscious, and compassionate people. I mean, they actually literally follow children from the age of 8 all the way until they're married. And they realized that all of these changes came about because children were raised in character to had better outcomes. It helped them to get better grades. They were more successful in the long term. Isn't that cool? Like, wouldn't you like to experience that? It aids in the majority of daily stressors at home. When you train your children in character, you're going to be having a lot less of the tensions that you're dealing with. So, for instance, like children not listening has to do with a lack of attention. A messy house has to do with a lack of order or bad stewardship. Children fighting has to do with a lack of honor and so forth, right? It makes total sense. And I know that you may not know exactly how to teach them this, but I just want you to get the main point is that this makes sense. Character training is the consistent, ongoing dedication to instill character traits in a child or in an adult for that matter, because a lot of the work was happening for me as well. It works from the inside. This is what is required for a child to make the right decisions. This is what they need to make the right choices and make good friends. This is how they know when to do something and when not to do something because they have that inner character that just absolutely changes everything. So can you see how this works, right? Yeah, exactly. So how if you trained you and your children in character consistently, then you could have a significant turnout. Could you see that? So I got serious about character. I learned about character training. I started teaching character every day for 15 minutes or less. Like character training had to be sustainable. Okay, what that means is I had to be able to do it day in and day out. And as a very inconsistent mom that I was, because I didn't have my own character, I had to develop like my own little system to make sure that I was consistent in this area because truly it was that important. So I focused on character and the children's character as well. And by doing that, it solved like 75% of our everyday family issues. How cool would it be that 75% of the problems that you're experiencing, whether it's the kids leave their shoes all over the place, they're not picking up after themselves, they wait to be told what to do, they don't take initiative, they're fighting, they don't listen to you, all of that. How cool would it be that if by just making this small shift, you begin to experience a new kind of life? So, one of the moms that I've worked with recently, that I was coaching personally, she said that she had been teaching her children virtues. But character training in the way that I teach it actually goes beyond teaching virtues and actually brings about transformation. And even though she had been doing a little bit of this work, it was the way that I taught her to do it that really made a difference. So I want to ask you, would you be willing to add character training to your day if it was easy? Just write yes in the chat box if you would be willing to do it, because that's the key word. It has to be easy, right? Okay. By the way, remember that at the end, I'm going to give you the free link at the end. So that free gift, the most powerful parenting tool but the least used, that's going to help you with the character trait of encouragement, because we all need more encouragement in our lives. We could all give our children more character in their lives. So make sure that you stay for that, okay? That's coming pretty soon. So life was getting better. But I was sure that I didn't want lazy or entitled children. Like I wanted to raise leaders. Call me crazy, but I was like, okay, they have character now. Now we need to implement this. Now, I'm thinking more about the future now. Like I want them to be able to withstand peer pressure, and I want them to be able to love on people and serve and just be growing continuously as people, right? I wanted them to explore and learn and really feel like my home was a safe haven. I wanted character to be ingrained in their heart and their mind. I wanted them to learn life skills so that they could use these life skills throughout their life. And like I said, I wanted them to have a love of learning and a love of people. And that's when I came across the third turning point where I learned pillar number 3. Okay, so what is pillar number 3? Pillar number 3 is immersion. So what I realized is there's a world to be discovered in being a part of a family, in reading great books and traveling the world. Basically, there's leaders to be raised. There was more. There was a whole world beyond that I wanted my children to be exposed to. And once we had the vision and once we had the character, then I needed to immerse them in this environment of growth. So immersion is about engaging children in an atmosphere of growth where learning and engaging with others to find their purpose in the world is what happens. In other words, during the immersion stage, you purposely create an environment where your children will apply the character that you've taught them so far. And this is manifested by them doing first chores in the house, learning life skills, serving others, learning entrepreneurial skills, traveling, and reading. This fulfills the intellectual component where being becomes doing. This is where I implemented the vision and carried out the character. What is so cool is that it boosts confidence because listen to this, the more a child grows, the more they're able to do, the more they're able to engage with the world in a safe place, the more that they read and they grow, the more confidence they have in themselves because there's a level of trust to themselves and a level of trust with you that just begins to happen. So children today lack confidence because parents are overprotective and they don't let them experience the good of life. In fact, the majority of parents don't even experience the joy of really living either. I think you'd agree. But, back to this, during this stage, you immerse your children in a world beyond what they've experienced. And because of it, they become better decision makers and become more responsible on their own and develop strong habits. Cool as that, huh? So what I did is I created an atmosphere that encouraged growth. How did I do that? Well, I did that by training for chores and life skills. I used a specific way to make sure that as they did their chores, they would also be learning character. Pretty cool, right? And I want to make sure that we multitask it. I also taught them life skills, like Gus taught them life skills, like how to change a tire, how to care for chickens, how to mow the lawn, etc. Like all of these things were really important. And I just can't wait, till we get to that part where you get to do the family evaluation, because I want to know how you stand against this, like how you do when you measure this particular pillar, the pillar of immersion. So make sure that you stay for that. What we did is we learned how to use specific books, movies, music to instill character and for them to be inspired by great characters and famous men and women in history. This here is a picture of a section of our home library. Actually, it's the smaller part of this section. And maybe you're a little bit envious if you love books. And I know that this library may seem overwhelming to some of you who have younger children and have never even picked up a book, but I can assure you that you're not far from where I was. I hardly even read in high school. I could never even imagine that I would have a library like this. But when you have a vision, and on top of that vision, you stack up the character, and then you understand how important character is, you then understand how important it is to create an environment of growth and immersion for your children so that they're not dependent on others for great resources. Like you have them available within you. Your entire home, your culture of family is an environment of learning. And I wanted them to know that a love of learning was crucial to their leadership and upbringing. I mean, Gus and I are very focused on investing in ourselves in all areas of our life, whether it be physical, whether it's mental, emotional, intellectual. Like we are constantly investing several hundreds or even thousands of dollars on ourselves. And we've already even made that commitment for our children. I mean, as soon as our children turned 14, we started giving them access to being able to go to camps. So our son, oldest son, when he was 14, we started giving him, we sent him to Worldview Academy for several years. Then we sent him to Summit. Then the other two boys came. And last year they went to Gills, which is a leadership camp from Tony Robbins. And I mean, all of that it was an investment. And let me tell you, these things are not cheap. We were living on one income for many, many years, but it was just a priority. It was kind of what we had to do because we are just so committed to our growth. And in this process of immersion, we also figured out how to use everyday life, like news, like real life stories, service, chores, to instill character, leadership, and unity in our family. Every Monday we would clean the entire house, and through a specific process that I created, we would then finish with a special celebration. So each Monday we had the satisfaction of having a clean house and the satisfaction of hard work, and we'd end up with a celebration. So it was very cool because I learned how to make chores and learning fun so that everybody is getting involved and everybody is in this process. All right. We also encourage them to learn about business. They had garage sales, online businesses, pet sitting. We were so crazy that we even bought a homeschooling company so we could travel with them around the US in an RV and we could teach them work ethics. And here they are with their cute little aprons. So the one on the left is Gus. I think at that he must have been, I don't know, 10 years old there. Then Nikki, he must have been like 8, and Alexis was 7, and he was running the cash register from the time he was 7. Indeed, his little feet would dangle in the chair. It was so cute. And here they, this was so cool. Like they'd work the conventions with us, and it was so neat to watch them and make money, and it gave them incredible amount of confidence, right? Because we trusted in that. We expected them to grow. And they learned so much together, so much so that they created the Youngpreneur program to teach children ages 7 to 16 how to start their own business. So you can see Alexis and Nick on the upper left-hand corner of that picture towards the bottom with coaching the youngpreneurs on how to start their businesses. It was a super cool experience. So we also purposely traveled and learned about the world around us, making sure that we expose them to different things, like different food, different cultures, sights, and scenery that just allow them to scale their world to mean more. Okay, and here you see a picture of them in Williamsburg, then one in the middle at Yorktown, and on the left, on the right, it's the USS Alabama. I mean, we've just been all over the US. And again, it wasn't because we were so rich, it wasn't because we had all this money, but because we had vision. We wanted to grow, and we wanted our children to be growing with us. We wanted to immerse them in that atmosphere of growth. How cool, right? Okay, so I want to ask you if you can imagine. Can you imagine immersing your family in an ongoing environment of learning like the one I'm talking about? Yeah? Can you imagine everyone getting along? Like just getting along, being nice. Like instead of pulling and pushing and, shoving, they actually are nice to each other. Like somebody gets a candy and they actually share with their siblings without you having to make them share. Can you imagine each member of your family contributing to help one another? Like when somebody wasn't able to do their laundry, hoping that your older children do their own laundry, right? That somebody else comes in and helps. Can you imagine each person taking responsibility for themselves at their own age, whatever age they're at? Can you imagine healthy communication where you and your kids don't always have to agree, but you can get through the tough times because you understand healthy boundaries? Like the other day, we're going to be having a super neat costume party. And in this costume party, we went out searching for a costume, right? So we found one, and my daughter was like, well, I'm not sure. It's not quite. So we ended up buying it because it was a really great price. And I like without meaning to, I talked her into it because I saw potential for the costume. So when she saw it, she was dressed in it. She didn't care for it. Here at home, she was not. And I was a little bit frustrated because obviously we'd spend the money and everything. And she said, she came back to me and she could feel that tension. And she was crying and she said to me, Mom, what I'm going to say, I've practiced several times. And it's not easy for me to tell you this. And she was crying as she's telling me this, right? I'm standing in the kitchen there and she says, I know you bought this for me with the best intention, but please respect the fact that I don't like it. I was floored. You know why? Because that daughter is only 11 years old and she was being respectful. She understood her boundaries and she was communicating in a way that was very honoring. How amazing is that? I mean, when somebody talks to you like that, instead, with normal child her age would have been like, I don't want this. I can't believe you're making me with it. Like immature way of communicating. No, she handled it very maturely. And you know why? Because we fostered that kind of communication. Can you imagine having mutual respect and camaraderie with each other? Just wanting to know if you can imagine that. Hopefully you can, because you have to. You have to imagine it, because if you don't and you don't see that your family could be there, then it's going to be hard to get you there. So you have to be able to imagine. Because if you can imagine, then the rest is just figuring out that blueprint, and you're getting the blueprint today. You're getting that blueprint today. Okay, so let's do a quick recap so far. What you've learned. You've learned 3 out of the 4 pillars. Here's a cool thing. You only have to improve each area by a little to see significant improvement. So if you have no vision right now and you get a little bit of a vision. If you have no character and you get some character. If you have no immersion, no atmosphere of growth, you can get a little bit of that. And if you just improve each one of those a little bit, you're going to see huge improvement. Huge improvement. Okay? So the 3 pillars are vision, character, and immersion. And this is how you build a strong family and raise children who will be happy, obedient, respectful, and with strong character. And this is just the first part. How exciting. Okay, it's very, very cool, because I still have to show you the most important pillar, and that's coming next. But I know that we have limited time and I want to honor you. So given the time that we've had together, do you feel that I've given you valuable content so far? In other words, if we left the room now, do you feel that you have information that you can implement right away? Let me know by typing yes, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you the best of what I have. Okay, all right, a bunch of yeses. I love that. All right, so let's keep going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's keep going, and I'm going to teach you the 4th pillar. Are you ready for that? As my life has been just all about turning points. It was kind of rough, and then I had turning point, and then in these turning points, I mean, I could have made it like 25 turning points. It wasn't 25 turning points. It was just 4 major things. And every time that I've worked with families, I had to figure out how to make this as easy as possible so that families could duplicate it, so that someone like you could say, okay, out of all of the things that I have to work on with family, what are the simplest ways to have the most transformation? And this is exactly what I'm sharing with you. So my 4th turning point came when I learned pillar number 4. So everything was moving along, okay? So I had a vision for our family. I had character that I was instilling. Children were obeying. There was an atmosphere of growth. Beautiful. But 6 years ago, our world came crumbling down. Our marriage almost came to an end. And what kept our children together and our family together was, and with sufficient level of certainty and like safety, is exactly what I'm going to share with you. So when you pay close attention, okay, the most important part is still coming. Because the truth is, I was still missing this important pillar. Gus and I had same broken and dysfunctional patterns from our parents. I was very controlling, very broken, very religious, and I was ignorant to emotional health. And Gus, on the other hand, he was very broken as well. and he had a hidden addiction to pornography that I didn't know of. He also lacked a lot of emotional health. He really wasn't always showing up as a supportive husband in the parenting in the same way. He just wasn't. And you may be a little shocked to listen to this because most people are not upfront with their struggles or their baggage, but Gus and I are, because we've learned that we don't want any hidden skeletons in our closet. And we're honest with you. We're upfront. Why? Because we are transparent and want you to understand that we are just like you. Because when you get that, you'll know that you can get where we've gotten as a family, and you can get even beyond this. So for us, even after reading a ton of books and going to church or whatever, you know, we both realized that we were ignorant to one of the most important foundations in a person's life. And that is the next pillar. That next pillar is emotional health. The pillar of emotional health. So parents think that they can ignore emotional health. That's another destructive belief. And, they could say, well, I was raised this way and look how I turned out. I did pretty fine. Other people instead, they suffer in silence because they try to change the yelling, the anger, the inner turmoil, the anxiety, but they simply can't change no matter how much they've tried. And the truth is, we create an atmosphere through our behavior and our patterns that children imitate. We can't pretend to raise them up in a world full of baggage, also known as garbage, from our past and our present. And we can't expect them to be healthy. We must give them something great to imitate by providing an expression for healthy emotions. So when I first found this picture that you see on the screen, I was pretty shocked because I couldn't imagine that a little child would live with such level of filth. I mean, how is this even possible in today's world, right? That children who'd be living with this level of filth covering up to even their nose. I mean, he can barely breathe. But I would say and dare say that the majority, a lot, if not the majority of children today are living with this level of emotional filth in their homes because there's just so much baggage that parents are holding on to. So the truth is that we have to give them something great to imitate, and we need to imitate that by working on our emotional health. So emotional health is the proper balance of unconditional love and discipline. This is what fulfills the emotional component where you build the heart-to-heart relationships, okay? Now, I have to pause here very quickly and kind of go back to the previous point and say, unconditional love is something that very few parents understand. Most parents, even in their best attempt, raised us with conditional love. And many parents gave us discipline or the wrong kind of discipline. Like in my case, discipline meant a slap in the face or sometimes a whip, like the cord from one of the appliances that would turn my legs black and blue. And that's just the best that my mom could do. In other scenarios, parents are just too permissive, like they just let their kids do whatever. And so this whole balance of unconditional love sometimes is there, it's not there, the discipline is there, it's not there. But it needs to be there in order to have a healthy emotional home that is functional and not dysfunctional. We also had to recognize and break bad parenting patterns from your childhood. Like that's what needs to happen in order to have the healthy the emotional health we need. Here's where we connect heart to heart with our children by helping to establish the ongoing connection with our children. When we want them to listen when they're 5 and 6, well, we want them to listen because we want them to listen to our hearts when they're 16 and 17. By the way, I want to just again remind you that the free gift that I'm going to give you at the end of the training is going to help you strengthen your emotional health. The most powerful parenting tool, but the least used. You're going to have huge breakthroughs in this area when you watch that. So what did we do? We had to dig real deep, okay? We became 100% transparent, like no more masks. We got tired of wearing the masks, and we said we wanted to be real. And with that, we had to begin to practice real forgiveness, like capital R, capital E, capital A, capital L, forgiveness. This was more than, I forgive them because God forgave me. And no. This was like it became real for us. We also learned how to resolve the root of pain and issues of our past. We learned how to resolve conflict and we stopped avoiding issues as if they weren't happening. We learned to honor each other with effective and open communication. And we learned and we taught healthy boundaries to each of our kids at each level, at each age level, because they each needed to learn this. Like we began to understand the emotional developmental stages for each one of our children. Was it easy? No. But you know what? We got there through a dark road, and we don't want our children to have that lack of information so that they would have to go down paths like the ones we had gone through that had gotten us to that point. So the truth is that we just cannot ignore the emotional health in our home. And the emotional health in our home gave us life and at a soul level. In other words, it allowed us to connect with each member of our family, real connection, like where you feel it. And, so many families today, they're so disconnected from each other that they live like that. Like they just get used to that. In our family, we understand what connection is so that when there isn't connection, we know. Kind of like an appliance that is not plugged in. When it's not connected, it's not working, right? There's no energy. Well, we feel that. Like we can tell when our family is not connected. And we go back to that because that's our norm today. That's where we are. We also learn not to keep secrets and be open, especially with mistakes. Like our home today is not a place where we're void of mistakes or making faults or whatever, but we're very open and we're providing a safe place for our children and us to make mistakes. And we are there to love each other unconditionally when we have to. We learn to act and not react to their bad attitudes, to the things that they're struggling with. And we learn that we can speak about anything, anything. We're not afraid of making mistakes, whether children or adults, and we learn to parent, like I said before, with unconditional love. We also set up the kind of family that each member of the family is proactive in resolving personal and group conflicts. Like if, a few of us have a problem with somebody else, we talk about it. If, one has a problem with the other, then, we kind of let it take care of itself and, they solve their problems, but usually there is resolution pretty much 100% of the time. What this did for me as well is that I had no more losing in moments. When you're so built up and so burned out with emotional stuff that's just overwhelming you, you get so tired, you just feel like losing it. And that's when it just all breaks loose and you take it out on your kids and, so forth. So we had a healthy heart where we knew we couldn't keep any bitterness or hidden anger anymore. So tell me that's encouraging to you because I hope that it is. I hope that that is so encouraging to you that literally one thing that I've said in this particular presentation is life-changing because it could be. So here's what our life is 5 or almost 6 years later since that troubling time is our marriage is stronger than ever. Yeah, that nearly completely dysfunctional marriage that Gus and I had is been replaced by a beautiful communion. That's not perfect, but it is beautiful level of intimacy. Our marriage is so strong and we talk about things and communication was never a strong point, but it is something that we worked for and we are able to accomplish now. Our family gets along. There's no bickering. There's no sibling rivalry. We're there to take care of each other. We're emotionally healthy as a family. Our children have character and strong work ethics, and we have a purpose and a vision as a family. How cool. This picture right here, the one that you see in front of you, let that serve as an image of hope that two very imperfect people, with the help of God and with 4 pillars, have been able to get their family moving forward. And not a small family either, right? So you're here because you want to be an outstanding mom and dad, right? I'm guessing that you're here because you want to get rid of infectious negative behavior. I'm guessing that you're here because you want to order your life by priorities and not details. You don't want other people to be running your life because you're lacking character. You're here because you want to teach your children respect and how to pay attention to you and how to listen to you, right? You're here because we want to get rid of any bad attitudes and any overwhelming feelings that you may have, and you're wanting to stop being frustrated all the time. And at this point, before you take the family evaluation and before I give you the link for your free gift, the most powerful parenting tool but the least used, I want to share a unique and special opportunity for you to take these 4 pillars and master them. In other words, you can get this 4-pillar blueprint perfected and available for you so you could easily implement it in your family over a short period of time so you can see immediate change in the behavior of your children and in how you're managing your home and your family's future. Is that cool with you? Okay, so write yes in the chat box if that's cool with you and you want to learn how to master and implement these 4 pillars easily in your home. Because now that you know the 4 pillars, You want to make sure you master them. All right. Woohoo. Awesome. All right. So let me give you an inside peek of what it's like for families who've embraced and mastered these 4 pillars in their families. And I have to make a mention of how important mastery of these 4 pillars are. Okay. Mastery is defined as the ability to blend skills and knowledge in a specific area of practice. In other words, you now understand the 4 pillars, but you must master these pillars if your family stands a chance. Basically, like, I'm not kidding, okay? You must now take the information that I've given you and use skills and specialized knowledge to apply it daily, just like these families you're going to hear from, okay? So let's see what happened when they mastered these 4 pillars. The first person that you're going to hear from is Carissa. When I first met Carissa, she's already an amazing mom. She had 5 children. I grew up in a wonderful family. I mean, I thought she had it all, right? Like, why would she need these 4 pillars? How could these pillars even add to what she needed? Well, to my surprise, this is what I found.
Hi, my name is Carissa Rivera, wife of a wonderful husband and mother to 5 wonderful and precious children. A while back ago, I was going through some issues and some personal struggles, and I guess every woman goes through that, and I was very frustrated as a mom. I was completely frustrated. I had lost a lot of hope. I knew some basic principles in parenting, but for some reason, I was all confused, and I wasn't making progress. And obviously, this is the most important job that I'll ever do, and I knew this was important. So I started praying and praying and asking God for answers. I asked him to send me somebody, some help or something, and God answered. I came across the Building Character with Children, and it was definitely an answer to a prayer. God brought Shirley into my life, and she basically has been a blessing. The whole program, I already completed it, and it was amazing. Just the first week, I could definitely see immediate changes in me as a mom, and obviously in my family as well. I definitely recommend this program, whether you're struggling or not, whether you know basic principles on parenting or not. This was definitely an answer to prayer for me. It has been a blessing. My husband has seen it, and obviously my children have benefited from it, and I recommend it to you. I highly recommend it, and I really want to thank Shirley for taking time, for sharing her passion and answering to the call, because a lot of us mommies need her. We need people to cheer us on. We need people to believe in us, to speak life to us, and to encourage us. And that's what she did with me, and I will forever be grateful for that.
Awesome. All right, I hope you enjoyed what Carissa had to share. Now I want to have you hear from Tony and Angela Johnson from Michigan. This is an amazing couple. When we met them, they were struggling as a marriage, and then, we worked on them, we worked with them, we helped them, we coached them through their marriage, and then we introduced them to the 4 pillars that we've shared with you, and this is what they had to say about that.
Hi, we are Anthony and Angela Johnson. We are here to give a quick shout out to Shirley and Gus. Just a little bit of appreciation for what they've done for us and for our marriage. And with that being said, I'm going to let my lovely wife take over.
We actually met Shirley and Gus, I would say purely by faith. We were at an extremely crucial point in our marriage. A very detrimental point, and one of our friends actually came across Shirley at a conference and felt really compelled to reach out to her and tell her about our situation, and without hesitation, Shirley gave her number to my friend, and I contacted her, and they met with us, I think that weekend, just to kind of go over what we were going through. They gave us a lot of helpful insight, and were even kind enough to introduce us to their Building Character program, which we started very shortly after we met them, and it was huge for our family, just refocusing on what's important with your family, with what you teach your children, with what you do in your marriage, working as a team. All of it played such a huge role in us growing together as a team, as a married couple, as well as growing together as a family. And I really don't know where we would be without them at this point in time. So we just want to say thank you. We love you guys. And we are eternally grateful for what you've done for us.
Yes, thank you. And everybody that sees this, we highly recommend that you guys jump on their program, because it will definitely help teach some good foundational principles that you could pass on to your kids and just to live a better life. And that's stuff that we should all really want to dive in ourselves, but sometimes we just need to be reminded of these good principles, and that's stuff that they do every day, and we're just so thankful that they came into our lives. So thank you guys, and we love you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, great. Now, can you imagine yourself like Carissa? You know, someone who was already doing well and who needed to have more improvement in her life. Like, can you imagine, you know, yourself as Tony and Angela, just a couple that needed some direction to know how to raise their family in a healthy way? You know, can you see yourselves like what would happen when you begin to implement these 4 pillars so that you can be definitely over the hump with a lot more certainty than what you have right now? Great. Now stay put for this announcement. The program that I'm going to show you is going to help you master the 4 pillars, but this program is only for you if you want to become a proactive parent with a definite plan that works. It's for you if you often wonder how to parent the right way and recognize that you could use a little help. It's for you if you're serious about raising emotionally, physically, intellectually, and spiritually healthy children. It's for you if you're tired of chaos, confusion, and children not listening, not getting along, and not doing their chores. It's for you if you want certainty and purpose in your parenting once and for all. The cool thing about this program is that it's simple and easy to use. It's fully virtual online training. It has more than 23 hours of practical step-by-step lessons to help you master the 4 pillars. This comes in multiple modules and different training videos, okay? So 23 hours worth of lessons. All right. You'll also get this available inside a private members area, and it never expires. It's perfect if you have children of all ages. Okay. And this is perfected. This is my 4-pillar blueprint perfected and available just for you. So introducing Building Character with Children Group Coaching. This is the only program created with specific step-by-step instructions to guide you through how to build up and strengthen your family from the roots up, so you will be certain that you're raising your children right and certain that they will listen to you, so you can teach them how to have the inner tools to become responsible, respectful, and successful adults with the proper life skills and emotional health that they need in life. I've never before offered this program in the same way before. So here is all that you get now. The first thing you get is Module 1, Mastering Pillar Number 1, Vision. You establish a healthy and powerful family culture and vision so that you can have a sense of purpose and direction as a family. You identify the core values that your family is going to live by so your children will be influenced by your culture and not the outside culture. You create a unified sense of purpose that your whole family was going to live by. And you need this module to learn the specifics of how to create a vision and culture for your family, all right? You also get, this is basically an inside the training video, like so you can see what it looks like inside the members area. You get module number 2, Mastering Pillar Number 2, Character and Habits. Learn how to positively shift your family's attitude through character training so that you're doing less nagging and yelling, yet seeing more results through character, right? Because we already talked about this. You learn my step-by-step sustainable system to train your children in character, so character is not just a good idea. You're going to learn how to teach your children to listen to you, to be obedient, to get organized, responsible, and easier to get along with. You're going to be able to experience better and more peaceful days with everyone contributing and doing their part. If you're ready for that, say yes. All right? Then you get module number 3, Mastering Pillar Number 3, Immersion and Growth. Learn how to use chores to grow your child's character and life skills that are going to serve them for years to come. You're going to get your entire family excited about helping you with the chores and learn specifically how to train each child to cooperate happily. You're going to do that by creating an environment of growth and learning in your family so that each child will take initiative and become responsible for themselves, and then will then contribute to the family unit, making sure that they're becoming the best version of themselves. Right? Then you get module 4, Mastering Pillar Number 4, the Emotional Health Pillar. This is where you learn the foundation of an emotionally healthy home and exactly what your children need from you to be able to stay stable and happy. This is where you become a stable parent and learn how to get rid of the root of anger and impatience with your children once and for all. This is where you transform broken parenting habits. You break the chains, literally break the chains and the handcuffs into effective and inspiring methods to connect with each one of your children. This is where you heal your heart from childhood wounds that are affecting your children. On top of that, you get the group coaching, okay? This is where you live the 4 pillars. So you get bi-weekly calls for 60 days. This is 60-day period. You get access to the members area for a limited time, okay? So all of those 23 hours of training and content that is inside the members area, you get that unlimited. But the group coaching, you're also going to get 60 days of bi-weekly calls in a group coaching setting, because I think it's really important to provide the content and the coaching to provide the results that you want. You know, I could just give you the information, but I know that there's times where you're going to want to know how this information applies to you and your kids. So you get to experience the power of coaching with me, and you get to leverage the wisdom of the group. And just so you know, there is not even one time where one of my private clients has not gotten off the phone and not been absolutely wowed by the breakthrough that they've experienced. This component is key because you need a safe place to ask questions and to get your answers to know how you apply this. So again, here's what you get now. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching that includes module number 1 to master pillar number 1, module number 2 to master pillar number 2, module 3 mastering pillar number 3, module 4 mastering pillar number 4, and group coaching for a total of $14.97. Okay? So I want to ask you something. Pause right now for a moment, and I want to ask you to come back to this. If all this did was get your children to listen to you, get them to pick up their shoes and make their beds every day, help you stop yelling and nagging, get you to get a step-by-step plan to get your children to help you around the house. If all this did was help your children develop the character to make the right choices and make the right friends, what if you were able to give them the tools to pick up the right mentors and actually have a purpose in their life? What if this helped them develop more confidence? Would that be worth it? Would that be worth it? $14.97. Okay, but listen to this. Today you get additional bonuses with the modules and the group coaching, because I know that even though I provided everything that you needed, I wanted to give you additional bonus so this could be an even better value so that you wouldn't need anything outside of this program to accomplish mastery of the 4 pillars. So these bonuses are only available during this training and if you take action now. Okay, what you get is the Heart Support Video Bundle. Connecting with your child is one of the key ingredients to making your relationship with your child thrive. In this bundle, I provide 3 special video trainings to teach you how to learn about your child's emotional, developmental needs and how to win their heart by overcoming control and fear in your relationship, while learning what unconditional love is, which, by the way, is something most parents have no idea how to show their children. You'll also learn how to prepare sons for life as a mom and what key things you need to be doing to help them become the heroes that they're inside. And you'll get an in-depth real training on how to teach your children healthy sexuality. Like, how do you parent out of power and not out of fear in this area? How can you protect your children and not overprotect them? What do you do if your children have already been exposed to inappropriate material and more? Okay, and I know you've seen influential people destroy their lives due to adultery and pornography, like particularly I'm thinking of the Ashley Madison scandal and how crucial this is becoming to every family. Like, we need to be aware of this area. After you listen to this Heart Support Video Bundle, you will know exactly what it takes to connect with your child on a heart-to-heart level, no matter how old they are, and even if you've already lost their heart and they're disconnected from you. And it's going to serve as the perfect complement for pillar number 4. And you only get access to this bundle through this program today. All right, so here's what you get. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching, and you get the Heart Support Video Bundle. You also get the Character Education Resource Bundle. In this unique bundle, I've paired up exactly what you need to give your children a character and leadership education. In the video training, you'll learn how to add books and real-life experiences like travel to your family, like, just beautiful experiences. In the character guide, you'll get my personal, written by me, ultimate guide to character resources for parents and for your children. In it, you're going to find picture books for your little ones, read aloud books for the family, books on manners, audio books that will help your children build up their character, inspirational family movies, and more. This is our personal family's favorite list of resources. This is an invaluable list of safe and useful books, movies, and audios that you can use as a complement to your Building Character with Children program to support you in mastering the immersion pillar. Okay? Last, I also get you started on character books with 2 wonderful ebooks included in this bundle. These ebooks you can use for read aloud or for your child's individual reading. Okay, so how about that? You don't even need to buy any books right away because I'm providing everything that you need right here. So just imagine after reading one of these books, your child is reading an inspiring story and they choose to do right because the character of the book moves their heart to do right. You know, I don't always want to be the person that's pushing them to make the right choices. I provide that through character, through immersion, but then I also surround them with wonderful resources to make sure that they are able to make the right choices and inspired by people in history and wonderful tales. So here's what you get now. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching, you get the Heart Support video bundle, and you get the Character Education bundle. But on top of that, you get the Chores 101 program, okay? I created the special program so you could know exactly how to train your children on their chores. You know, like most parents never train their children correctly on chores. But don't worry, with this program, you'll know exactly how to train them and you'll know exactly what chores they need to be doing at each age, like specific tasks. What do they need to be doing at each age? Age-appropriate tasks according to their age. So you'll get that in the Chores 101 program as a bonus. So here's what you get now. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching, you get the Heart Support video bundle, you get the Character Education video bundle, you get the Chores 101 program bundle as well. Okay, but that's not all. You also get the Easy Character Curriculum for Busy Parents. Now, I'm sure that when I was speaking about character, you thought, well, I don't have time for that. I know that, and that's why I created this easy curriculum for busy moms and dads like you. I wanted to make sure that you had a sustainable and easy way to train your children in character in 15 minutes or less a day. You can do that, right? So can you imagine being able to teach character to all your children at once and without effort? Well, with this program, it's going to help you accomplish that. You get everything that you need so you don't have to go searching for confusing programs. It's all right here in this easy yet powerful, duplicatable system. This is going to help you support mastering pillar number 2 of character, and it comes with everything that you need. So now that you can get your children to listen and obey and respect each other, you'll be able to enjoy more peaceful days, which means that you'll create more family unity. And once you do that, you're on your way to building a family so strong that nothing can tear it apart. So here is what you get. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching. You get the Heart Support video bundle. You get the Character Education bundle. You get the Chores 101 bundle. You get the Easy Character Curriculum for busy parents. And you also get the private community forum. Okay? You have the privilege of joining an elite group of parents just like you who care about the future of their families. These parents engage inside a special forum where you can ask parenting questions, encourage one another, and have access to me daily in case you have any questions. So you get the Building Character with Children group coaching, you get the Heart Support video bundle, you get the Character Education bundle, you get the Chores 101 program, you get the Easy Character Curriculum for busy parents, and you get the private community forum for a total price of $17.73. So just pause right there and I want to ask you a question, okay? Stay right where you are. I want to ask you a question. How much would you pay for sanity and peace of mind? How much would you pay to know that your children are each doing their part in the family? What price would you put to breathing an atmosphere of peace in your home where everyone gets along and resolves conflicts painlessly? Would you pay $10,000? Would you pay $7,000? To make sure that you provide your children with the foundation that they need? Would you pay $5,000 to learn how to raise children of character for their entire lifetime? $5,000? That's it? Would you pay $2,000 to be able to parent with certainty and no longer doubt if you're doing things right? So would avoiding all of these problems and turning your family life completely around by giving it a solid foundation of vision, character, and an atmosphere of growth be worth $17.73, assuming that you had the money, of course? You know, would it be worth it? I want you to tell me. If you think yes, I want you to write that on the chat box, okay? So go ahead and say yes, because I think you'd agree this makes sense. All right, awesome. I thought so. And that's what, because what that means is that you want this program no matter what. It's just about the investment and the cost if you can afford it, okay? But stay put because this is super cool. The cool thing is that you don't pay $10,000 and $7,000 or $5,000. You don't even pay the $17.73. Today, you get savings of $776 for a final sale price of $997. So let's take what the alternatives are, and stay put because I have to show you something really cool. Okay, what is the alternative? You could either wait and do nothing, keep raising your kids without a sense of purpose and not knowing where you're going, reading books but still being confused because you're not sure what the books are teaching and how to apply them to you and your children. Best case scenario, you'll try teaching character on your own without a proven easy system. Maybe you've even already done that and you've quit. You know why? Because it hasn't been easy and it hasn't been sustainable. And then you'll get tired because it won't work and you'll find yourself in need of more help. So you go on and on. So in that sense, worst case scenario, you have to go to a psychologist for $200, or your kids have to go, or family sessions or whatever. For 10 sessions, that's $2,000. Then you have the option, a little bit more affordable, of mental health counselor for $150 an hour. 10 sessions of that is $1,500. Can you afford that? Family therapist, $100 an hour, 10 sessions, $1,000. And at the end, you would have paid more than what I'm going to offer you, and you and your kids will have unnecessary battle scars. But the better alternative is that you take action today, that you be proactive, that you prepare and take the next step and set a strong foundation with the 4 pillars, that you solidify your family ground before storms come, and you can get the right tools by investing in yourself and your children. You know how you do that? By joining the Building Character with Children group coaching to get that and the modules for $997 with all of the bonuses that I'm giving you today only. So at this point, this should be an easy decision, but I'm going to make it even easier, okay? Because I want to make sure that you know that I want to take this program to the masses, okay? I want to take this program to the masses, so you save an additional $500 on this training. I'm not kidding. Why am I doing this? Because I'm looking for 10 case studies, because I want to take this to the masses, and your success can help me do that. All we ask is that you would allow us to use your success as a case study for us to be able to take it to the people that really need this right now. So here's what you get, okay? You get the, let me do a recap, you understand. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching. You get the Heart Support video bundle. You get the Character Education bundle. You get the Chores 101 program bundle. You get the Easy Character Curriculum for busy parents. You get the private community forum, all for a total value of $1,773. But you save $776 to take it to the regular price of $997, which is what the normal price would be. But during this training only, you get to save an additional $500, so the special today price is only $497. $497. So here's the cool thing. The cool thing is I've made available a PayPal payment plan option with 6 months with no payments, no interest. In other words, you can get started in this program for $0 down today. All you have to do is simply click on the Get Started Now button and head on over to the order page and choose PayPal Bill Me Later and follow the instructions. When you do that, you have 6 months with no payments and no interest if you choose, or you can go with 3 easy installments of $184. So certainly you can choose between the one payment plan of $497, the PayPal Bill Me Later, no payments, no interest, or 3 easy installments. And this is all backed up by my happy customer money back guarantee. If you're not fully satisfied after you finish the program, I refund your money, no questions asked. You're really taking no risk by buying now, because if there was any risk, the risk is on me because of my 100% money back guarantee. So here's what you get. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching. You get the Heart Support video bundle. You get the Character Education bundle. You get the Chores 101 bundle. You get the Easy Character Curriculum for busy parents. You get the private community forum, all for $1,773. You save the $776. You save $500 on top of that today for a total of $497. And you can choose the one payment or the 6 months, no payments, no interest with PayPal Bill Me Later, or 3 easy installments of $184. So here's how it goes. I know that you're excited about what you learned, but the truth is that if you don't do something different today, you'll just go back to the same broken patterns tomorrow. You see, information is just information until you apply it, because old habits are so hard to break, and I would know that you won't see the difference if you don't take part of this program, which will help you reset your mind, your habits, and the patterns that you learned from your parents and that you've had until now. So you definitely want to take action and move towards awesome transformation today. And you take advantage of this special offer today and save hundreds of dollars worth of bonuses. You get exactly $585 worth of bonuses by registering today, and that's money in your pocket. Like, in other words, you don't have to add any more money to that. Okay, so you get all of that. You get the Building Character with Children group coaching, you get the Heart Support video bundle, you get the Character Education bundle, you get the Chores 101 program, you get the Easy Character curriculum for busy parents, and you get the private community forum. And remember, inside the Building Character with Children group coaching, you get the 4 modules, okay, that are going to help you master the 4 powerful tools. And on top of that, you get group coaching for 60 days bi-weekly. How cool is that? All right. Remember, that's a special price today, $497, and all you have to do is click on the yellow Get Started button now to get started and choose either the 1 installment or the 6 months, no payments, no interest with PayPal, or 3 easy payments. But cool, check this out. All right, get ready because I have a fast action bonus for the first 10 people. I know some of you are already rushing to get this. Some of you are already rushing to get this. And so if you are one of the first 10 people that is taking action right now, here's what's going to happen. You get the Youngpreneur program absolutely free. You can teach your children character while they learn about business and making money at the young age. The children who've taken this program have developed awesome little businesses, from selling birdhouses, selling jewelry on Etsy, selling parts for robotics, and even adapting Nerf guns to make them shoot faster. Your kids are going to love this because they'll learn at their level and they'll be inspired by my 2 sons and their fun business stories immediately. So they'll be like, wow, if these guys can do it, so can I. And it's going to give them sharp financial skills, marketing skills. I mean, we talk about A through Z of business, and they get everything that they need inside the Youngpreneur program. And that's a 3-module course that's being taught by myself and my 2 boys. Okay. So here's what you need to do next. What you need to do next is you need to get your credit and debit card ready. If you're on your phone, then make sure that you move over to your iPad or your computer so that you can get fast access. Next, I want you to put inside the chat box, like in the chat box, say, I'm ready to take action. Just be bold. Just be honest, okay? At this point, just say, yes, I'm ready to take action for my family. Third, be super fast at moving this because you have 15 minutes for the first 10 people that take action. They get the free Youngpreneur program. You know, and I know that some of you have kind of been sitting on the fence for a while. Some of you have seen my work and you've been wanting to be a part of this program. And some of you are on this call and you've been like that. And yet something's holding you back. And I hope it's not something like self-sabotage where you're keeping yourself because you maybe don't deserve that you and your family don't need this. You don't deserve that you can have the life that you want, but you do deserve it. And I want to make sure that you give yourself the best chance for success. So what you have to do is click on the Get Started Now button and register immediately. Or if you prefer, you can visit shirleysolis.com/join, shirleysolis.com/join, and you can either go with the 1 payment of $497, the PayPal bill me later, 6 months, no payments, no interest, 3 easy payments of $184. Okay, now remember PayPal has a special offer so you can take 6 months to pay for this program, and the entire process will take literally 20 seconds. It's like a line of credit. You don't even need to put your credit card information in. No, so just imagine yourself like Carissa and Tony and Angela. Okay, this is another family. This is another mom inside of Facebook who had invested into my program last year, and she said, you know, teaching my kids chores has not been easy, but with time and effort, it will pay off. And she bought the program, and like after week 3, you know, module 3, she put a picture of her daughter washing dishes, and this was a little 8-year-old happily washing dishes, you know, and this was just amazing. This was a mom that found me on YouTube. How cool, right? And I'm going to be teaching you everything that you need to know about raising responsible, well-mannered, diligent, grateful, and loving children. And it's literally taken Gus and I 20 years to learn all that we're going to share with you. And much of what you'll learn will save you tons of headaches in the future. The lessons in this program, in this group coaching program, have provided results to hundreds of families this year alone. I've been coaching and doing this for 10 years, and now they're made available to you in this premium package that includes 4 intensive teaching modules and a group coaching with $585 in bonuses today only, okay? Now check this out. This is what Jennifer said. Jennifer was another mom who I worked with late last year. She said, I've had an amazing journey working with Shirley Solis since the day I met her. Her and her family have been such an inspiration to me. I completed the Building Character with Children program, and it really opened my eyes to many things that I did not already know as a parent. I've also had the privilege of working with Shirley one-on-one, and I have to say it's the best decision I ever made. She has not only become my life coach, but she's also a great friend and an awesome mentor. I trust everything she has to offer, and I would highly recommend everyone to experience her knowledge and ability to help families and individuals on a personal level. Since Shirley has come into my life, I've noticed a tremendous amount of peace that has come into my life, and I know now how to manage myself, which makes me a better mommy and wife. Honestly, I was on the verge of a breakdown. This is true. Okay, and she says, and Shirley just so happened to come into my life is exactly the right time. Thank you, God, and for that I'm forever thankful. So you could be like Jennifer. You could be like that mom that found me on YouTube. You could be like, Tony and Angela, and you could be like Carissa, and you could be like Roxana, and you could be like Stacy, and you could be like Mark. These are all families that have invested. And you see, the more that you practice the 4 pillars and the principles of building character with children, the less stressors that you'll have in your life. Okay, so here's what you get. Remember, you get the Building Character with Children group coaching. You get the modules and the group coaching. You get the Heart Support video bundle. You get the Character Education bundle. You get the Chores 101 program. You get the Easy Character curriculum for busy parents, a private community forum, and for the first 10 people, which at this point I'm not sure we still have, but we may still have like a spot or two, you get the Youngpreneur program absolutely free. And all you have to do is click on the Get Started Now button and register immediately and choose one of the 3 payment plans. All right. Now, I know many of you are taking this important step forward, and I want to congratulate you for doing so. You're on the right track. I want to make a special clarification. All right. I'm only opening registration for 20 families total. Since this is group coaching, I want it to be private and intimate, and I want to take time to focus on each one of you. So as soon as I reach 20 registrations, I am closing the doors. So please don't be left out, and make sure that you register right now. Okay. Now, while many of you are registering and making that important decision, I want to take a look at this family evaluation so that you can measure the strength of your family. If you're ready, let me know. Let me know that you're ready. Okay. So here's where it goes. I told you that the first pillar is a pillar of vision. From 1 through 10, 10 being the highest, where do you measure your family in having a vision? A real vision, like where you've written it down. Where do you measure yourself? 10, 10 being the highest. Put that in the chat box, okay? All right. Good. I see some of you are doing okay, but some of you are definitely looking like you need improvement on that. All right. Next, from 1 through 10, 10 being the highest, where do you measure your family in implementing character? Is it something that you're able to do every day? Is it something you have in your to-do list but you never do? Do you have any clue of how to do this? Maybe you're teaching virtues, but you don't know how to teach character to your kids in a way that's going to show and manifest with outcomes. All right? Put that in the chat box. All right? From 1 through 10, 10 being the highest, where do you measure your family in having an environment of growth, culture, life skills, and learning? With healthy responsibility at home that shows up with everybody doing their chores and being involved in an atmosphere of growth. Atmosphere of growth. Where does your family measure up? And last but not least, from 1 through 10, 10 being the highest, where do you measure yourself in having emotional health and having the ability to teach it to your kids so they can grow up as successful and emotionally healthy individuals? Where do you measure in that? From 1 through 10, 10 being the highest. All right, I see your answers coming in. And some of you are doing really well with some of these, but some of you are really lacking on others. So that's like a wheel. It has to be even all around. So what does your house look like? Does your house look like this, where maybe you have one pillar standing, your other one is present, but your roof is kind of falling apart, and your foundation is on yellow instead of orange? Okay. Or does it look like this, where your 3 pillars are there, you know that you need them, but they're falling apart and they're sideways. They're kind of like, and they're so fallen, they're like on top of the roof, and your roof has no color. Okay. Or maybe you're missing all the pillars. So tell me, how many pillars are you missing? Share that in the chat box. And based on your answers, I can tell you and your children would definitely benefit in becoming a part of this unique and one-of-a-kind group coaching program. So in case that you missed where you're getting, let me do a quick recap, okay? And remember to hold on because I'm about to give you the questions for the Not Just Tacos giveaway so you can be a winner of that beautiful hardcover book, okay? You get the group coaching for building character with children. You get the heart support video bundle. You get the character education bundle. You get the chores one-on-one program. You get the easy character curriculum for busy parents. You get the private community forum. And at this point, we have a few more spots for the youngpreneur program, and you can get access to that. Okay. Again, this is all normally $17.73. But I'm going to give $7.76 of savings. That's a regular price of $9.97. And for this training only, because I'm looking for the case studies, then you take away another $500 if you promise to give me your case study. So you only pay $4.97, and you can choose from the PayPal Bill Me Later or the 3 easy payments or 1 installment, whatever you prefer. So remember, you have the special opportunity to start with 0 down. You don't have to even put your credit card information when you go through the PayPal route. The only time you put your credit card information is if you decide to go with the 1 payment or the 3 installments, and you'll see the 3 different buttons, okay? All right, and I know you're sending in some questions, and I'll be happy to answer those for you in just a second. Somebody did ask, though, and I want to address this. There's no time limit on the course. The modules are going to be there indefinitely. You always have access to that. The only thing that has a time limit is the coaching, the group coaching. You get 60 days for that, okay? What you can expect after payment, all right? If you go with the PayPal payment, then you're going to get your links tomorrow, later today or tomorrow. If you go through the 1 payment or the 3 payments, then you're going to get your links to log in immediately. So just be patient with that. But you know, we are available through tlc@shirleysolis.com. We're available here in the chat box. If we can't get to you, you can email us. And we also have a phone number that you can call us to be able to be in touch with us. And that phone number is 740-621-4852. 740-621-4852. And our email is tlc@shirleysolis.com. shirleysolis.com, okay? So remember, everything that you get, the Building Character with Children group coaching, you get the Heart Support video bundle, you get the Character Education bundle, you get the Chores 101 bundle, you get the Easy Character Curriculum for Busy Parents, you get the Private Community Forum, and if you were one of the 10, then you get the Youngpreneur program. And by taking advantage of this during the training, you save hundreds of dollars on the bonuses, all right? So make sure that you take advantage of that. And now I know that you're taking this important step, and I want to know who's ready to win a beautiful hardcover copy of Not Just Tacos. So write yes in the chat box if you're ready to win. All right? So let me know if you're ready. Awesome. Okay, question number 1. The first person to answer this in the chat box. What percentage of parents with children under age 18 say they're not spending enough time with their children? What percentage of parents with children under age 18 say they're not spending enough time with their children? I'm going to wait for Gus to give me the answer. All right? You're the first person with the right answer, then you win. Woohoo! Gus, you got the answer? Okay. Awesome. So we have a winner. Gus is going to reach out to you so that he can get your address, okay? And we get that book shipped over to you right away. That's awesome. So you get a free hardcover copy. All right, second question, because there's could be another winner. Which pillar aids in the majority of daily stressors in the home? Which pillar aids in the majority of daily stressors in the home? Okay. Do 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 do. All right. All right, we have a winner, and Gus has notified me that we have a winner, so thank you all for replying. Sometimes our little fingers move faster than others. All right, so we have a winner, and Gus is going to be in touch with you to be able to get your address. All right, and now I want to make sure that I move towards your questions that you may have. Remember, everything that you get, the special bundles are for today only. and you get the special price. You can get started with 0 down, okay? So go ahead and start sending me your questions, all right? And I know that, by the way, some of you may be asking yourself, like, if this works. Yes, it works. I talk to parents all the time. I mean, that was a question I had when I created. So I'm like, oh, will it work? I know it worked for me. But, I started working with parents and seeing how when they started making one shift in character or they started having a vision, how much even just a vision shifted the entire family and then they started healing themselves emotionally. I mean, that was Jennifer. That's why she's had such huge breakthroughs in her life. And Carissa and Tony and Angela, and what even character did for Tony in his life as a husband and as a man to show up strong. Like, this was huge. This got, a couple in Israel, Esther and her husband, they got them talking about parenting because they never before were talking about parenting. So what this could do, it's basically will serve as a catalyst to your entire family. So will it work for you? Yes, I guarantee that it's going to work for you, because that's why I have my happy customer money back guarantee. It will work. And I know that if you're wondering if you can afford this, it's like I could have not made it more affordable than this. Okay, I want to make sure that only the people that are very serious about investing in their family are the ones that get access to it. Some people may want it, but sometimes they leave it off halfway. They don't finish it. Now, I wanted serious parents, and sometimes that seriousness comes at an investment, at a price, right? So I wanted to make sure that you understand that, that you're wondering if you can invest in this. I'm going to tell you one thing. Money comes and goes. Okay, money comes and goes. Haven't you noticed that it's kind of like a replenishable thing? Like, you spend money and the next week you get it again because your husband gets a new paycheck, or you sell something, a garage sale or whatever, and you get money again. But the time with your family, that's time that you don't get back. The time lost by doing things the wrong way, that's time you don't get back. So why not use something that you do get back week after week? You get money. Money is replenishable. You just put that out there and you give it to God and you say, you know what, God, I want to make this investment. And, it's God's job to make sure you're equipped with the best things that you need. So just send it up to God. Send it up to God. And that's what I've did. So much of the investments that we've made, it's like, okay, God, we just need the money to show up, because we want to invest in ourselves. We want to put our money where our mouth is. Okay. So somebody asked me this, is faith a foundation in this program at all? Absolutely. Gus and I have had a relationship with God for over 18 years now. And there are things that even these 4 pillars cannot fix. That's the truth. That's why the foundation at the bottom, the foundation of faith is got to be a foundation. And again, like I said, there is things and situations where are so critical that what you have to do is pray and take it before God. But that is completely out of our control. What is under your control are the things that you can work on, and that's why I provide the 4 pillars. So faith is absolutely a foundation. Now, I have made this program so that any parent, whether you have a relationship or not, you can take advantage of this program and definitely learn and take it to the next level. But I don't know where you are in your walk with God. There's parents who know of God when they began this program, and by going through this program, they got closer to God. They started going to church, they started developing a relationship with God. There's parents who've been in the church for many years, and you know what? By going through this program, they found stuff that they had never experienced before. Because my relationship with God, Gus's relationship with God, we have a totally different relationship than the majority of people because we've been through so much. So you're going to have breakthrough in every single area of your life. Okay. Somebody else asked, what if your husband could care less about vision? Well, you know what? That's okay, because that was my situation. Like, Gus wasn't on board with this whole vision and crazy thing. Remember, this is something that I kind of went developing. He was very involved with his work. He was like the typical dad that just went to work and back, and he just wasn't involved with these kind of things. But I had a business background. Like, I went to in high school, I loved leadership stuff. I read self-development books, and I just started understanding how important it was to have goals and to have a vision for my family, and I did that. And Gus wasn't on board. Like, I don't even know if I shared that with him. But you know what? If your husband could care less, but it takes just one person in your family, and that could be you, to make a significant shift in your family. Somebody else just reaffirmed and said, yeah, we need to train our children to think for themselves. And that's exactly right. You want to make sure that you're training your children to think for themselves, but not to think for themselves so much that they think apart from you. And that's another fault that happens with parents today, is like parents go on, they want to teach your children independence, but that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is not independence or dependence on parents. The ultimate goal is interdependence, and that's a whole new level of living. All right. Let's see what else. Somebody said their husband had a bulldog personality. The husband has no desire for emotional health. Well, all of us sometimes at one moment or other have felt like that, and each person is in their own process. Your husband may be in his own process or not. I don't know the specific situation, but sometimes life could be so painful on some people that they have no desire to go in and dig deep for that emotional health, because doing that would be too painful. But I know that somebody has to be the catalyst in your family. And if you're here and you're watching this webinar, it's because you are the catalyst, because you have something that can get started, that can spark the passion and the fuel in your family to see significant change, okay? All right, let's see what else. How much time do you need to do the program? Okay, every module, the 4 modules, it takes about 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours. You don't have to do them all at once. In other words, you can take one a week if you'd like, once every couple of weeks, and just watch what you can, put it on pause. It's on video format. You can watch on your phone, you can watch on your iPad, so you can watch in your own convenience or even listen to it while you're driving, because it's on video, but obviously you can hear it. So, just take a little bit of time. And what I find is that the majority of parents, when they don't have a vision, they waste a lot of time. So what's going to happen when you actually take charge of your life and you actually begin to have a vision for your family, you're going to waste less time because you're going to know exactly what you need to be doing. So when you have downtime, it's specifically downtime for rest. It's not downtime because you don't know what you're doing and you're wasting time checking Facebook. So you really, really want to consider that this is going to just catapult your growth in all areas of your life. Like, people that I've spoken to, because of this program, they start changing their finances. Yeah, like their finances begin to be changed because they want to put their life in order. This is what this program is doing. It's putting your life in order so that those pieces that, the pillars to building your family, I love this verse in the Bible that says, like, through wisdom your house is built, and you have to build your 4 pillars. You have to build your pillars with wisdom to knowing how to apply them. And when you do that, you're going to have a strong family, a strong foundation for you guys. All right. Let's see what other questions are coming in. Okay, will this help me with sibling rivalry? Absolutely. Sibling with kids don't help. Talking back. Yep. It's going to help you with sibling rivalry. If your kids don't help, if they're talking back, if they're not listening to you, this is going to help you address. It won't be overnight. It won't be overnight, but you will see significant improvement even after just a couple of weeks of doing this and beginning to implement it, okay? Remember, it's taken a lot of years to get your family where it's at, to get the habits that it has up to this point, but all it's going to take is a few shifts in the right direction, a lot of prayer, but a little bit of shifts, these shifts in using the 4 pillars to making sure that your family is experiencing huge transformation, and it could be available today. So I really just want to encourage you to click on the Get Started Now button and register immediately, okay? I don't know if we still have, slots for the Youngpreneur program, but whatever the case is, you still need to register. Like, register now, because this is very important, okay? This is really important, and your family depends on it. Okay, at this moment, I want to pause for a second and give you access to your free gift. Okay, you see the link right here on the screen, shirleysolis.com/join. That is the same link that you have to go to claim your free gift. When you go to this page, towards the bottom, you're going to see a link that is going to tell you free gift, most powerful parenting tool, and that's where you get access to it. So you have to click on this link. You have to click on, you go to shirleysolis.com join, or you can click on the Get Started Now button, and the link is going to be towards the bottom. Make sure you don't miss that, please, because I am giving you the link for your free gift. I want to make sure that you know that this link you see on the screen is where you go get that. All right. So I don't want to really take up more of your time. I just want to, first of all, congratulate all of the people that have been able to make a strong decision to join me on this program. I can tell you you're in for a treat like never before. I can tell you that, the beginning of a lot of great things are going to begin to happen in your family right now because of this decision that you've made. So I want to welcome you into the Building Character with Children community. For those of you that are still iffy about it, I want to speak to you. And I want to tell you this. You have a decision to make. You have a decision to make. That too is a character trait. I don't know if you struggle with indecision. If you're like, well, I'm not sure. Maybe your lack of character is lack of trust, knowing that God really will provide for you. Maybe lack of faith that this will actually work for you. I just want to know if that's what you want to sow into your kids. Do you want to sow lack of faith, lack of trust, lack of decision making? I hope not. But whatever it is, you have a decision to make. And I want to let you know that you're standing in a path with crossroads. And this is about your children's futures. And you have to decide. You have to decide what is the decision that is going to give your children the greatest chance for their success. If you ask me, this is the next step. The next step is that you've already made the first step by being here today. But the next step is joining me on this journey. The consequences are clear. If you say no, there's consequences that you're going to have, but you're leaving it up to the world and you're leaving it up to your kids. You're going to be like that, boat that's just taken from side to side, not really knowing where it's going. And you don't want to leave those kind of consequences up to your kids. You want to know what you're doing. And, the chances are that if you don't play this out, the turnout could be pretty bad. Dropout rates could be higher, divorce rates, sickness in your family, bad grades, all of that could happen. Broken relationships, a divorce in their life, anything. My program, I understand, comes with a cost. Okay? I understand that. But it's an affordable cost. And if this is affordable to you today, I want to let you know that this is not only good for you, but it's good for your kids. And you would be doing your children a disservice by not coming a part of this program because there's nothing for you to lose and everything to gain as a result of joining. If you don't like it, you get your money back. No questions asked. After you finish this program, you got to give me that much. You got to go through it. You got to commit to your family. But if you commit, I'm willing to commit to go all the way for you. And all you have to do is make a decision. So I want to close off and tell you it's been an amazing time. Thank you so much for being with me during this time. I look forward to you and I look forward to seeing you on the inside. You take care. Bye.